You're busy, we know. You want the important stuff, the key takeaways, without wading through tons of data.
Hmm.
So that's what we're doing here. A focused look at the upcoming Luton Town versus Coventry City match. That's April 26th, 11:3 UTC.
And we're using some pretty advanced analysis to do it.
Yeah, this isn't just guesswork. It comes from the Gambler's Ruin project, powered by SmartBet AI technology, version 1.0.3. So data-driven stuff.
Exactly. Our job is to basically unpack what the AI is predicting and maybe more importantly, why.
Right. What factors are feeding into this? We want to understand the likely outcome based on their different analytical methods.
Statistical models, machine learning, the whole toolkit.
Okay, let's dive right in then. The setting. Kenilworth Road, Luton, England, Luton Town hosting Coventry City. Morning match, 11:3 UTC.
And the weather was pretty decent, actually.
Yeah, partly sunny, around 57 Fahrenheit. Feels maybe a bit warmer, like 64. Light wind, low chance of rain, maybe 9%. So pretty standard conditions.
Shouldn't be a huge factor then. Which brings us to something that could be a factor.
Yeah.
Injuries. Player availability is always key.
Absolutely. And Luton have a noticeable one. Jacob Brown, their forward. He's played, 29 games? Got 4 goals, 1 assist. He's out with a muscle injury. Expected return is way off, June 2025.
Oof. Yeah, that's a long-term absence.
Yeah.
Losing a forward like that, someone who contributes goals, it definitely forces a rethink in attack for Luton.
No doubt. They'll need someone else to step up.
For sure. Now, Coventry side, they have an injury issue too, but it's their keeper.
Right. Onananyelu Dovin. Played 28 games. He's out with a knee injury, but his return seems closer, maybe mid-May this year.
Yeah, so a shorter-term issue, and while losing your main keeper isn't ideal, of course.
It maybe doesn't disrupt the whole team's flow quite as much as losing a key attacker.
You could argue that, yeah. The tactical shape, the attacking patterns might be less directly affected compared to Luton missing Brown. It's more about that last line of defense.
Okay, so stage set, injury report covered. Let's get into the brains of this operation. The SmartBet AI. This sounds pretty complex.
It is. Well, it combines a few different approaches. They use something called Poisson regression,
Okay.
which is basically a statistical way to predict count data, like how many goals a team might score based on past performance and other factors.
Got it. Predicts the number of goals.
Right. But then they layer on machine learning classifiers. Think random forest.
Which is like lots of little decision trees. Pooling opinions.
Sort of, yeah. And then gradient boosting, or XG boost, which learns kind of sequentially, improving as it goes. And also a multi-layer perceptron, which is a type of neural network.
Wow. Okay, so multiple angles on the prediction using ML.
Exactly. And they feed these models a whole load of relevant data.
Like what kind of data are we talking about?
Well, crucial stuff. ELO ratings, for one. That measure of team strength based on results. And crucially, they adjust these for the recent injuries.
Oh, okay. That's smart.
Yeah. Then there's recent form. They use points per game, PPG, expected goals, or XG.
Which tells you about chance quality, not just shots.
Precisely. Plus, the obvious home-away advantage, the actual number of injuries, goal efficiency, how clinical teams are, and even what the betting markets are saying.
So they're really trying to capture the whole picture. I saw mention of bootstrapped Poisson models for uncertainty. What's that about?
Basically, instead of just one goal prediction, they run thousands of simulations using that Poisson model, tweaking things slightly each time.
Okay.
It gives a better feel for the range of possible outcomes, not just a single number. Acknowledges the randomness.
Right, because one prediction is just one possibility. This gives a confidence range. Makes sense. So let's see what the numbers actually say. Those ELO ratings first. Team strength.
Okay. Luton Town's ELO is 1466.39. Coventry City's is 1459.90.
Whoa, that's quite a gap, nearly 100 points.
It is. Statistically speaking, based on historical performance adjusted for opposition strength and those injuries, the ELO system sees Coventry as significantly the stronger side.
Okay, clear signal there. Now, the basic goal prediction from that Poisson model you mentioned.
It predicts Luton scoring around 2.57 goals. For Coventry, it's higher, 3.85 goals predicted.
So again, pointing towards Coventry having more attacking firepower in this match, according to the model.
That's what the raw Poisson regression suggests, yes.
And those simulations, the bootstrapped ones, what did they show for the range of goals?
Right, so after running 10,000 simulations, the average for Luton came out at 2.55 goals. But the 95% confidence interval, the likely range was really wide. 0 goals all the way up to 6.
0 to 6, wow.
And for Coventry, the average was 3.88 goals, with a 95% confidence interval between 1 and 8 goals.
1 to 8. So while Coventry is predicted higher on average, there's a huge amount of, well, potential variation acknowledged by the model, especially for Luton.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It underscores that predicting exact goals is tough. Lots of scores are technically possible within the model's framework.
Okay, this is fascinating. Now, the machine learning models, random forest, XGBoost, the neural network, did they agree on who wins?
Yeah. Here's where it gets a little mixed.
Oh,
The random forest model predicted a draw. The XGBoost model
okay.
also predicted a draw.
Okay, 2 for a draw.
But the multi-layer perceptron, the neural network, it actually predicted a home win for Luton.
A Luton win.
So
The models disagree. Why would that happen? They're using the same data, right?
broadly, yes. But each model learns differently. Random forest looks at many scenarios, maybe finds draw conditions common. XGBoost learns step by step, perhaps seeing patterns leading to close games here. The neural network, well, it can find really complex nonlinear patterns. Maybe it's picking up on something subtle, favoring Luton at home, something the other models weight differently.
Okay. Different perspectives from different algorithms. Interesting. So what about the big picture? The Monte Carlo simulation, 10,000 simulated matches.
Right. This simulation aggregates the goal probabilities from the Poisson model over many, many virtual games. And here, the picture was clearer about the winner. It gave Coventry City a 61.05% probability of winning, an away win.
61%. Okay, that's pretty strong.
Yeah. Luton's home win probability was much lower, 24.25%, and a draw came in at 14.7%.
So the massive simulation strongly favors Coventry. But, oh, wait a second. What was the single most likely specific score from that simulation?
Yeah, this is the interesting twist. Despite that high overall probability for an away win, the single most frequent scoreline in those 10,000 simulations was actually home team 1 away, team 1 up, a draw.
Yeah. How does that work? Over 60% chance Coventry wins, but the most common single score is a 1-1 draw. That feels like a contradiction.
It does seem counterintuitive at first glance, but it highlights the difference between overall win probability and the probability of one specific score.
Explain that a bit more.
Well, Coventry might win with lots of different scores, right? 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 2-0, all those different winning scores add up to that big 61%. But maybe none of those individual winning scores is quite as common as the single scoreline of 1-1 occurring in the simulations where Coventry doesn't win.
Okay. So the wins are spread out over more score lines, while the 1-1 draw is a more concentrated probability among the non-win outcomes.
Exactly. It suggests that while Coventry is favored, a tight draw is still a very plausible, maybe even the most common specific scenario.
That really shows you the nuances here. Okay, what about other likely scores? The report listed the top 4.
Yeah. After the 1-1, the next most likely, looking purely at the simulations, were actually higher scoring. 2-4 had a 4.6% chance, 2-3 was slightly higher at 4.67%, 3-3 was 4.63%, and 3-4 was 4.37%.
So 2-3 is technically the most likely after 1-1 based on those numbers, but they're all really close.
Very close, yeah. Within tenths of a percent.
But what strikes me is those are all high-scoring games. 2-4, 2-3, 3-3, 3-4.
Right. It does seem to align with the initial Poisson predictions suggesting higher goal potential, especially from Coventry. Even the draw on that list is a high-scoring 3-3.
So pulling it all together, the big simulation leans heavily towards a Coventry win overall.
Correct. 61% probability.
The single most frequent score is 1-1. And the next most likely scores suggest a game with potentially quite a few goals.
That sums it up pretty well. It's definitely not a simple, straightforward prediction. There are layers to it.
And we absolutely have to stress, like the Gambler's Ruin Project does, this is statistics. It's probabilities based on data and models. It's for information, for interest, maybe entertainment. It is not a guarantee of what will happen, and we're certainly not giving betting advice or endorsing gambling.
Absolutely. Critical point. These are analytical insights, not prophecies. Football is unpredictable.
So wrapping up this deep dive, the SmartBet AI analysis, especially that Monte Carlo simulation, points towards Coventry City having the edge against Luton Town.
A significant edge in probability terms.
Yet, the data also throws up that fascinating wrinkle. The 1-1 draw is the most likely specific score. We've seen how they use ELO, Poisson, different ML models, simulations. It's complex stuff.
Really shows how data science is trying to tackle the challenge of predicting sports, trying to quantify all those factors.
Which leaves us and you with a final thought to maybe chew on. Given that statistical lean towards Coventry, But that specific 1-1 possibility, what other factors, maybe things the models can't easily measure, could swing this game?
Yeah, things like team morale on the day, maybe a moment of individual brilliance, a controversial decision.
Exactly. What
Yeah,
could lead to Luton pulling off that statistically less likely win, or just a completely different result altogether? That's why we watch the game, right? That inherent unpredictability.
definitely something to think about leading up to the match.